Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. It is your girl Evie Faith. If you are new here, welcome. If you are not new, welcome back. I am so happy you are coming back to join me today. Now, we're in a little bit different scenery today. Just get comfy and let's talk. If you hear him snoring, I do apologize, but he is not going to leave my side for this. But today I'm so excited because we are going to start a series called Breakthrough Season. And the reason for this series, it's going to be a couple weeks. So for the next few weeks, one of my videos will be a part of this series. And me, as well as a lot of people that I talk to, we are just in this season where a breakthrough is needed, or we're trying to get unstuck, we're trying to move to the next level, we're trying to elevate, we're trying to draw closer to God, we're trying to really experience a breakthrough. But sometimes it can be hard to navigate this season and figure out what steps to take, how you're going to get unstuck, how you're going to move up, how are you going to step into what God has called you to do. And I felt it was only right that we go through this journey together, because I am in this season too. Like, a breakthrough is needed. I feel it is on the way. I feel it is coming, but navigating it can be hard. It can be emotionally and spiritually draining. It could just be tough. Like, it could really be tough to navigate this breakthrough season when you just know it's on the way, but you don't quite know how to reach that breakthrough. So that is what this series is going to be about. But I'm just praying that over this journey, we can really step into this breakthrough together, and we can really get clarity and get clear understanding of what the next step of our lives are. So I'm excited for this. Let's get into it.
I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my year.
So because this is episode 1, we got to start from the beginning. We got to start with recognizing when you are in this season, how you know you're in this season, when you're feeling like you need a breakthrough or a breakthrough is coming. That is what we're really going to dive into today for episode 1 of this series. So I really just want to acknowledge that sometimes when it feels like you are breaking down, it's a setup for a breakthrough season. So I really just want to get into that and what it means to be in this season. Now, there's a couple ways that you can really tell you are in this season, or needing this breakthrough, or feel like the breakthrough is on the way. You just feel stuck, you feel like you're restless, you feel like you're doing everything that you know to do to keep moving forward, and it just seems like nothing is happening, or doors are continuing to close, or you just feel like there's no way out of this season, like you are just stuck in a valley and you cannot get out. That is a telltale sign that you may be in this season, that a breakthrough is being prepared for you. Now, examples of this are when the Israelites were in the wilderness season and they were trying to get to the promised land, but they were stuck in this wilderness season, and they just felt like, it's getting nowhere. Like, it feels like it's a long season, like you're just going and going and nothing is happening. The promise that you felt like God has given you doesn't seem to be there. It doesn't seem to be happening. It doesn't seem to be coming into fruition. And I definitely get that. I definitely feel that. I feel like I have been in this season for a little while now, where I feel like I am just constantly pushing, and what I expected to have happened by now, or where I expected to be, has just not come to pass yet. And it just feels like, God has showed me the vision. God has showed me where I'll be. God has showed me that He is leading the way, and that He will, provide that breakthrough and that overflow, but it just hasn't happened yet. And it just feels like it's been kind of a long wilderness season. So I get that. If you're feeling that, if you're feeling like you're in that season where it just seems like it's dragging on, like, I get it. And God has not left you in this season. He hasn't gone anywhere. You just have to remember that your timing is not like God's timing. So where you think you should be in this time frame, or if you feel like He showed you a vision and that was your time frame that you put on, not the time frame that God has put on it, then it'll feel like it's just dragging and dragging and dragging, or that it's not coming, or that God has left you in this season, but he really hasn't. And we just have to remember that he's a good God, and we can trust him, and we can trust that if it's in his timing, there's a reason for it. Or if we need to continue to prepare, or there's doors that he is preparing for you, we have to just remember that he is preparing this for us, and we just have to keep walking and keep doing what he has instructed in the meantime, while he prepares the breakthrough and the overflow for our lives. Now, another story we can look at is Joseph. Joseph was betrayed. He was enslaved. I'm sure for a long period of time, he felt like, what are we doing? Like, I thought I had favor with God. I thought God was with me on this. How did I get here? How did I get in this position to where now I am enslaved? I've been betrayed. Like, how did I get here? This is not what I feel like God has promised me. But he stayed the course. He stayed the course. He pushed through. Just because you're in this valley or this down season, it does not mean that God has to come pluck you out of it. There could be something that you need to do in that season. There could be something that he is just preparing. And in the meantime, you have to stay in that. It does not mean that God has left you. It does not mean that he is still not getting things ready for that next step, for that breakthrough. In Joseph's instance, he ended up still stepping into what God had promised him. It just took a while of being in the low, in the valley, in the wilderness. It took a while of him being enslaved. It took a while of him, going through the motions and feeling betrayed. Like, it took a while in that season before he reached the breakthrough, before he reached the destiny, before he reached God's promise. So just because you are in this season, it does not mean that a breakthrough is not on the way. He is just putting all the pieces together. And we have to remember that he is putting the pieces together. He has not abandoned you. He is just preparing. He is preparing this for you so that when you walk into it, you are ready for it. And he has all the pieces together to provide a completed puzzle for you. He has all the pieces together to really provide what he has promised. So keep walking in this season. If you are feeling this, if you are feeling doors are closing, if you are feeling you're being challenged, you're being tested constantly, like nothing seems to be going right, you're probably in this season, but keep going. Keep going. Do not give up in this season, because God is going to show up for you. You keep walking in what he has told you to do. You keep going. You do not give up in this season. And watch the breakthrough, watch the blessings, watch the overflow that he will pour into your life. I am believing that for you. I am believing that for me. Like I said, I'm right here with you. I don't feel like I've reached that point where like, this is what God has promised. This is what I know is coming. I have not reached that yet. I am in that season of pushing through. Like, it is not easy, feeling like this is dragging on, feeling like this is just moving a lot slower than I thought it would. I'm in that season, so I get it. So I'm right there with you. But we have to keep going. We have to keep showing up. We have to keep walking in what God has told us and has instructed us to do, because breakthrough is on the way. And that's why I wanted to do this series, because there's so many parts of this breakthrough season and walking in it and stepping into that next season and preparing for what God has for us that I feel like it's not talked about enough. It's just like, your breakthrough's coming, God's got you, like it's on the way, keep going. But like, what does that actually mean? And that's what we're gonna get into. So stay tuned and make sure you come back for the rest of this series. Now, I want to just remind you of another scripture as well, and that is James chapter 1, verses 2 to 4. And it says, "Consider it pure joy when you face trials, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance." So these trials that we're facing, if you feel like you're being tested, you're being pruned, you're being stretched in this season, consider it pure joy. Like, try to change your mindset to realize that these trials that I'm going through, this is building my perseverance. This is building my character. This is preparing me for what God has in store, because you don't know when he opens that door for you, you don't know what that could entail. You don't know what you have to be ready for. And he knows that. He sees that ahead of time. So you in this valley, in this low season, in this pruning season, is him allowing you to be truly prepared for what's to come. So instead of looking at it as punishment or as like this is being dragged out, like God has left me, what happened, like look at it as he's just allowing you to get prepared for what's to come. He's just allowing you to be ready for this breakthrough and for this door to open for you. So you have to keep going. Do not give up, girl. Keep going in this season. Now that we know what it's going to feel like to be in this season, what you're probably going to be experiencing, from spiritual warfare to testing to trials to temptations to suffering now that we know this is probably what it's going to feel like, and it's not going to be easy, and just remember that God is with you. He has not left you. He knows you can handle it. He knows that whatever it is that you may be going through or may be being prepared for, you can handle it. So keep going. Now that we know that we're in this season and we're getting ready for a breakthrough, what do we do in the meantime? Right? Because it's easy to just say keep going, but that's a lot easier said than done. What does keep going mean? What do we do? How do we push forward in this season? Now, obviously, and I'm going to say this in pretty much all my videos, prayer. Get your prayer life up. The only way you are going to make it through this season is staying in communication with God. Because you never want to be in this season and feeling alone, or feeling like God has left you, or feeling like, the plans have changed or the goal has changed. You never want to feel that. You want to constantly be in communication to know that, like, God, you're still here with me, right? Like, you still got me. This is what you want me to do. This is the course you want me to take. This is the path you want me to take, right? This is where I should be going. You want to make sure you're constantly in communication to know that you're not taking steps backwards. Stay in communication with God. Stay in prayer. Like, if you have to set times of the day to pray, to have that time alone with God, I really, really suggest doing it. Like, I understand as a mother and a wife, like, there's times where it's just hectic in the house always. So if you have to wake up earlier than your family or your kids to get that prayer time in, do it. If you have to stay up a little later at night to do that, do it. If you have to schedule some time during the day to set aside that time for God, do it. Stay in communication with him. That is the number one thing. Prayer. Stay in prayer through this season and beyond. Stay in prayer, stay in communication. And alongside that, stay in your word, girl. Stay in the word. Constantly feeding yourself with the word so that you are prepared, so that you have knowledge, you have understanding of what it is that's coming, what it is God is requiring of you. Guidance, like, stay in your word, stay in your prayer life. Okay? Now, step 3, and I know this one is a little bit harder, but trust his timing and don't rush it. God's timing is perfect. I know it's not on our timing. I know that what I wanted it yesterday, but my timing is not God's timing, and I cannot rush it. I cannot force it. I cannot try to force my own will, because when you get outside of alignment with God, then that's when things start to go wrong. Stay in alignment, trust his timing. As hard as this one is, I know it's hard because I have been going through it, just trying to trying to understand his timing, and it's just not really for me to understand. If he has instructed me to do something, then it is my duty to just keep going and trust that he is going to allow things to happen. He is going to allow doors to open when I am ready for it and when he's ready to allow it. So I cannot rush it. I cannot force it. I don't know how, no matter how many cries out to God I have done, I cannot force it. I cannot rush it. It's his timing over mine. And that just is what it is. So trust his timing. He's got you. He's not going to lead you astray in this season. So stay connected to him and trust in him. Trust that he has a plan and he knows what he's doing. A scripture to back that up is Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 3. And it says, though it lingers, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay. Listen, he knows that like our timing is not going to be the same. So it's going to feel like it's dragging on. It is lingering, right? But it clearly says, though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay. What he has promised you is going to come to pass. What he has planned for you is going to come to pass regardless. So stay the course. Wait for it. He's got you. Now, lastly, what we can do in this season of waiting for our breakthrough and working towards our breakthrough is to prepare our hearts and our minds for change. Typically in this season that we are preparing for this breakthrough, there's going to be a lot of changes that take place. Some of them will seem like good changes and some of them will not seem like so good of changes. But preparing your heart and your mind to know that things will change in this process. In this season that he is pruning you and preparing you for what's to come, things will likely change. So prepare your heart and your mind for that change. Don't fight against it. Like the more you fight against it, like you're just dragging this process out even more. Understand that change is bound to happen in this season, but God has a plan for that change and it is going to prepare you for better. So don't fight the change. Don't fight the shifts. Allow it to happen. And go back to that staying in communication with God to know like, okay, this is you closing that door, or this is you opening this door. Should I step into this door? Should I keep this door closed? Like knowing certain changes that are taking place, staying in communication with God to know like, okay, I'm gonna leave it as is, or okay, I'm going to step into this next part of this process. I'm going to step into this next door. Just knowing that, making sure that he is the one that has opened that door for you, and that's the door you should be taking. That's the path you should be taking. Stay in communication with him. I cannot stress that enough, because this season will get tiring, will get lonely, will get stressful if you are not in communication with him to know that he is working this out for you. He's got you, girl. And I will constantly say that because I do trust that he has got you. I do trust that he has got me. As hard as it is, as tough as the season is of walking in the unknown and walking in the wilderness, in the pruning season, in the preparation season, I know that so much better is coming. And that what he is preparing is way better than I could imagine. And not even just for me, but for the overall purpose that he has created me for in this world. And it's not just about me, because a lot of times I feel like the vision that we have is still really centered around us and our next phase, or you know, more money or whatever it could be, like, and so much more than that. And once you take yourself out of it and really look at the bigger picture of the vision of what God has in store for you, of how he is going to use you as a vessel, then it really takes that pressure off of the timing, because you know that like, if I'm doing this for him, if I'm just waiting on him to use me the way that he has created me to be used as this vessel, then it's no longer about you and your timing. And it's now about God, and when he has planned for these pieces to start being put into place. So I know it's hard to take yourself out of it because, you know, we want certain things for ourselves in this life. But looking at the bigger picture, looking at the bigger vision, God has something predestined for you. And you have to wait for the appointed time. And it'll come in due time. So though it may linger, wait for it because it will come and it will not delay. So that is pretty much it for part 1 of this series. Like, if any of this resonated with you, then you are probably in this season, and I am right there with you, girl. So if you are in this season, just remember, stay connected to him. Remember, keep going. Do not get discouraged in this season because he has got you. There is just so many stories in the Bible where they had to be in these lows, these dark places, but God still used them. And God still made a way for them to come out of it. God still showed up on his end. Even if it took some time, even if it was hard in the moment, even if they were in a tough spot where they're like, what is happening here? God showed up. He never left their side. He still had them. And you have to remember that in this season. He has still got you. Regardless of how you feel in this moment, regardless of how tough it may be in this moment, I get it. But he has got you, so keep going, girl. So that is all for today. Next week, I will drop episode 2 of this breakthrough series. So do not miss it. Go ahead and turn on post notifications so you know when the next episode drops. Hit that subscribe, like, share this with someone who may need it, and God bless you, girl. I just pray for blessings in your life. I pray that this series truly helps you step into that breakthrough season and prepare for that breakthrough season. And I am so excited for you and this breakthrough that is coming. So feel free to drop any comments if this resonated with you. I would really love to chat with y'all. But until the next video, bye.